Okay, we're back again. I'm here with Ali. I'm sure you all know Ali by now, and he assures me he's all ready to introduce lots more exciting widgetry to you. So I'm just going to wait for a moment to make sure that you are in fact coming back into the room and that you can see and hear us successfully. Who's going to be the first person to post in chat? Let's see. We've got 50 live apparently, so somebody must be typing. Ah, Gregory is the first. Hello, Greg. Excellent. And Don. And Brian is third. And Brian A is fourth. Very good. Okay, great. They're all ready for you, Ali. So I'm going to hand it over.
Excellent.
Take it away.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another session on building widgets. It's a very Android-focused one this month, mainly because, as you'll see, the work we've done to enable including code resources has sort of opened up quite a lot of exciting things that you can now do. So I'm going to sort of have a little tour through some of those things. Hopefully, I have a new laptop, which is maybe, if you've noticed, the picture quality being a lot better, and I'm certainly noticing my laptop being much more responsive while I'm doing this. So that would have meant that probably any demos I tried to do would have worked this time, but there was only one demo I was going to do. I'll tell you later why I'm now not going to do it. But anyway, that's a strange intro for you there. Right, let's dive into the slides. Okay.
I'm slightly concerned that on diving into the slides, we appear to have lost Ali. Can anybody see his screen? I don't think so. Let's see if we can get him back. Yeah. Okay.
I just reloaded everything.
Okay. Shall we try that again? And I will let you know immediately if you don't appear again, if your slides don't appear.
Was it just as soon as I went to screen sharing?
Yes, it's when you went to screen sharing, it didn't share your screen. So okay. Let's see if it works again.
Could you not hear me either at that point?
No, you just disappeared completely.
Right. Your entire screen.
he's gone again. And it's not Halloween, Mikey, and I'm not Eleanor. This is Heather. So, okay, if you could just stand by, people, for a moment, I think I will suggest that Ali tries a different browser. He is indeed trying turning it off and on again, Gregory, and hopefully it's going to work. Although that doesn't look very promising, does it?
How's that?
Ah, yes.
Okay.
I see your screen and we hear you. This is good.
Okay, perfect.
Carry on.
Great. Okay. Right, not sure whether I'm repeating myself here, but so I'm just going to have a word on widget properties, inspired by something that happened with the segmented control recently. And then going to dive in straight into native code inclusions. So it's a second return to Herman's filters example that he asked about. And then I'll show you an Android chart widget that I sort of knocked up an example for in not a very long time. Although it's not fully functional, but it demonstrates kind of what you can do. And then I'll move on to, excuse me, a little bit about if you need to compile snippets of Java to get your stuff working, which I've done myself in order to get a couple of things working, including accessing the Fingerprint API and a WAV recorder. So that's the agenda. So here's the word on widget properties. If you rename a property, which I did in the segmented control to support the vertical orientation, you'll need to consider the implications for both backwards and forwards compatibility. Now, if you want, for example, the property to map exactly in both cases, then you need to, in the new version, your onSave handler needs to populate two separate entries in the properties array. So because the property used to be called segment min width here, you would put the appropriate variable into both segment min extent and segment min width, so that if it's loaded in an old version, it looks for the segment min width key and finds the appropriate value. And then in the old versions on load handler, you want to check if either of the things are amongst the keys of the properties, so that you've got kind of three scenarios. You've got before any change was made, which that onSave handler part fixes. Then you've got after the change was made in the 8 branch, which that part of the onLoad snippet fixes, and after the change is made in the 9 branch. So this will probably not ever be this complicated unless you're working with kind of multiple branches, I suppose. But it's an interesting problem. And something that Brian Milby pointed out on Gitter is that you do really need to think about this, because he pointed out that you might not actually want a vertical segmented control to open properly in pre vertical versions, in which case throwing an error might be the right thing to do. So yeah, it was just a way to sort of point out that's a tricky situation that you can come across if you rename properties and stuff. So best avoid it if possible. Okay, let's get on to the fun stuff. So here's a picture of my cat again. Just to say that this now just works in Mac and Linux standalones. So I'll show you. There we go. Here's the stack, and here is the. So this works now purely on the structure of the extension folders. So in here, I've got the actual LCB file.
Ali?
Yes?
We can only see your slides.
Ah, of course.
Yes.
Okay.
So you might need to...
I'll tell you what, that's fine. I'll work with it. So this is what it looks like. Right. This is what the structure of that folder looks like. So you've got the extension file itself, and I've just got the LiveCode stack in there. But in the in code/JVM, I've got filters.jar, which is the third-party library that I've downloaded. So I wonder if I can figure out how to switch windows.
This could be dangerous. Let's hope we don't lose you.
Okay. Here we go.
Might have lost him again. That's a long pause. Oh dear. Right, he's going to go out and come in again. Here we go. I hope. No, you're still the invisible man, Ali. You see, this is the danger of getting new laptops. Ah, here we are. I think you may be back. Try turning your camera. Oh, there. Oh, look, there he is. Okay, whatever you were trying to do there wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to just come back from screen sharing.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate. Okay. I'll try and stick with slides, I suppose.
Well, the slides did work, but you can't do much of a live demo with the slides.
No.
I wonder if it's worth trying a different browser. We could take a short break whilst you load up again in Safari.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, folks. So if you could just stick with us for a moment, please. The show will resume shortly. Ali is just going to go and try a different browser. I'll tell you what, whilst we are waiting for him to rejoin us, I will just recap the fact that, as we mentioned, or as Kevin mentioned in his monthly report, we are in fact going to be rerunning LiveCode Global next year. And so if you want to rejoin us, we've got a great special deal for everybody who actually attended this session, this LiveCode Global. If you were here, you get the chance to buy your early bird attendee ticket for just under $99, and you should see that actually in your chat at the moment. So you could just use this 5-minute pause to go and secure your ticket. And I have to tell you that these tickets are selling out fast. We're going to be sold out by the end of today, by the look of it. So, yeah, don't hang around. Yes, I mean, I must say I've really enjoyed LiveCode Global, and it's been really, really interesting to see what people are doing. You wouldn't believe. I mean, you don't know until someone comes in and starts telling us, oh, look, we do this wonderful system that defends your oil rigs. And or I'm teaching refugee children to code in LiveCode. It's just amazing. What sessions have blown you guys away? What was your favorite session? Tell us in the chat now. I don't know how many of you have been here for the entire every session of every day. I think some people have, which is very dedicated. But, it's been a long haul. Well, I've been here for every session of every day, so I've seen the whole thing. Oh, Mark, you've been here, have you? Well done. SVG from Ryan, yeah. Oh, here's Ali coming back. And
hello.
Hello. Okay. Are
Right.
we going to have another go?
I'll try and share my screen immediately and see what happens.
I will let you know if you're here or not. Yes.
Okay, great.
Excellent. Phew. That's very good.
Now I've just got to get my slides back. Okay.
Hooray. And take it away.
So, oh, don't open photos. Where were we? Right. I built this standalone. So yeah, I was just going to show you the grayscaler example. Using the filters.jar Java classes to grayscale that image. So yeah, as I said, that's purely on the structure of the extension package there. So let's move on to the chart example. By including third-party code, we can rapidly create these sorts of widgets. So I found a whole list of stuff that was where was it here? Must-have libraries. So there's quite a lot of interesting looking stuff here. Like, I thought this would be quite a cool thing to, where is the page for this? Oh no, it wasn't that one. Where was it? Sort of spring, that's what it's called. Oh yeah, rebound. Like that kind of thing, that would be quite a cool thing to have a go with. That would probably be my next choice of something to look at. But charts are pretty important, very useful. So I just took the getting started example to make a basic line graph. So it's hard coded in the example I've got at the moment, but obviously you would create a property for the data and the type of graph and stuff like that. Some of the code was slightly out of date, so I had to do a bit of digging in the. This is something I guess you might have to do if you're wrapping stuff. Just have a look in the actual jar. You can open these things in Text Wrangler, and it's got all the source code in here as well. And sometimes it can be useful to actually look in the compiled class files, because all of the signatures here have been converted to the form that you need for the binding strings. So that's just a little tip. If you there are quite a few of these where it's sometimes not immediately obvious what class something is implemented in. I'll show you an example of that later. But so the getting started example, here's the actual, pretty much the Java that I'm going to use with this library. So essentially, you just create lists where this entry object has the value and then the index along the x-axis that value is at. And you can or need to, I think possibly need to add labels for each index of the x-axis. So you have one list keeps track of the labels, one that's the entries, and then you just create some data out of that and turn it into a data set for a line chart, and then set the data on the chart. And then there's this invalidate thing, which is supposed to sort of refresh it and redraw it. And I think that is maybe an animated redraw, but I didn't set it up so that I could test that out. But anyway, you'll see the benefits of this kind of thing, because there's loads of sort of extra features you get just by using a library like this. So these are some of the identifiers from this library that we'll need to use with the wrapping. As I said just now, the typecode strings can often be found in the class files. Here's the one for set data, for example. Which we'll need. So creating the actual view, it's the same for all of these things. You just, all of the constructors pretty much are, they just take a context, the Android app context. So you can use the boilerplate code from any of the Android widget examples. And I've just highlighted here, basically the only difference is you're calling the constructor on a different class. These are all other constructors that are needed. So to create an entry object that takes a float and an int, creating a data set, and then creating line data from a data set. And then just sort of generic Java stuff. Quite useful thing, I suppose, just to be able to create an array list and add objects to it. And then the set data method, so it just takes a, see the slight wrinkle here is that we've created some line data, but that inherits from chart data, and you don't know exactly from looking immediately at the code what the parent class is there. So it can help to find it in the compiled class file, or if you can sort of guess where to look. Some things have quite suggestive names in terms of where they'll be implemented. Took me a little while to figure out that invalidate was actually a method of the view class. So you sort of iterate up the parent hierarchy, and that's quite a long way up from the line chart to just an Android view.
Ali, can I just pause you for a second?
Yes.
I'm getting some, there's some reports in the chat that they're not seeing that they've got a frozen screen.
Oh.
Now, I can see and hear you, and I can see your slides moving.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody else in the chat, I mean, who all can see the slides changing, or do you all have a frozen screen? Can somebody please confirm? Oh no, Brian says he's frozen as well. Stuck, Larry's stuck. Oh no, this is bad news. Okay. Here, but the screen is frozen. All right.
Let me try again.
Try unfreezing and going back. Okay, we're going to try again.
Hello.
All right, so what can you see now? Can you now see Ali's lovely face on the video? I do hope you can. Let's just pause and wait.
See maybe a while ago.
Yes, they can see you now. This is good.
Great.
You are live. Okay. Okay, once more with feeling. Would you like to try and share your screen, Ali? We're all in suspense. And don't tell me we've lost him. We've lost him. Yep, he's gone. He's gone. Okay. This is annoying. Let's give this another go. Yes, Mikey, perhaps we'll see what we can arrange. Yeah. I mean, I could try restarting the webinar entirely to see if that helps. We don't have, okay. And you're back.
This is very frustrating.
It is a little frustrating, yeah. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what to suggest. I have a suspicion if you share your screen, we're going to lose you again. But I don't really see how you can give your presentation without sharing your screen.
Well, if everyone can follow along the slides, if I post the link to the slides and then people can follow along, that might work.
Yes, we could try, but they may not be able to hear you if you disappear entirely, you see. Oh, you mean you just won't share? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I see. Okay, well, we could try that.
Okay. I presume everyone has access to the
well, they don't have access to, oh, wait a bit now. Let me think. The place where you drop your slides is not the place where they pick them up from.
Oh.
The permissions are different. Try one more time to share your slides, okay? We're going to try one more go. Everybody think positive thoughts, please. Okay, I'm going to give this webinar some love. Give it one more shot.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I see your screen. Can we have any confirmation in the chat that anybody else can see your screen? Yep, those good thoughts are coming through. Yes, Brian can see your screen. Yes,
okay,
tunnel of windows. That's it exactly. Excellent, splendid.
I'm gonna
go.
Maybe not go full screen and see if that.
Yeah.
Right, I need to close this. Right, where is my slide
were we?
Window?
Yeah, we were building widgets.
Okay, we were creating a chart. Okay, so I set up a handler that sort of tracks line by line what's going on in terms of converting the Java to LCB. So here's just setting up the lists, and then just a loop to add. I've just added random entries to the list. I really like this LCB syntax, any number. Something nice about that. And creating the data set. And then we're setting the line data. There's actually a typo here, so I'll just fix that right now. This should be labels and dataset. That confused me earlier. So you create this kind of data with where you assign each of the x-axis values a label string and give it the data. So I was going to unshare my screen to show you this on the Android device, but maybe I'll save that till the end, just in case things break. Where's my Safari window? Does anyone have any questions about anything so far? I know it's been pretty disjointed. Okay. So sometimes you do need to compile Java classes. It's pretty easy. If you've got your build tools, then Javac and jar are the only two things you'll need. Now, for the Fingerprint API, it somewhat annoyingly uses an abstract class instead of an interface. There's perfectly valid reasons for doing this, but it's annoying because it means we can't use the interface proxy stuff in order to override it on the fly. Now, I think we've got a couple of ideas how to fix that, but in the meantime, you'll have to write a little class, wrapper class, to get it in the right form. So here is an example of doing that for the fingerprint stuff. Basically, you make a class which extends the abstract class. So Fingerprint Manager Authentication Callback is the abstract class, which has an internal interface. And basically, all of your override methods there just call the equivalent thing on the interface in a class. Now, the upshot of that is that when that's included, you can just use the normal interface proxy stuff on the thing that you've called the wrapper class, and this $sign here, that's for an inner class there. So yeah, that's a little trick to get around abstract classes at the moment. And all you have to do there is so the only slight thing here is, oh, I don't know why that M is there. That's not right. You just need to give it the Android API, pass it that as the class path when you're compiling the fingerprint wrapper. And the nice thing about this is, so we currently couldn't have fingerprint support very easily. Just the way our sort of build system works, you need API level 23, and that would mean you'd have to update a whole load of other stuff to be compatible. So you can compile this using the Android 23 API and stick that in a code folder, and then essentially all that means is that extension won't be usable by any machines that don't support that level API. So it's quite a nice way of modularizing that sort of thing as well. So yeah, you just jar up the. There's plenty of info online about compiling and creating jars if you're interested in trying to do something like this. So yeah, as I said, you need to use this trick, and then the wrapper class has a constructor which takes the actual interface as its parameter. So that's how we get around that. Now I was going to show you the fingerprint stuff working. This is based on Gergen's work a few weeks ago. He contacted me to try and figure out some issues. We squashed some bugs in the actual engine, which is quite nice to get this working. You can actually, I don't have a device that has fingerprint support, but you can actually do this in the emulator now, which is quite good using ADB. So that's how I would have demonstrated it to you. Anyway, let's continue. So another example, this is something that Peter Reed asked about on the use list, about recording in WAV format. So the media recorder that I gave a wrapping of a couple of weeks ago, a couple of sessions ago, doesn't actually support WAV output. So I found this code snippet on Stack Overflow. And you probably could, in fact, looking at it, you definitely could get rid of the Java here and just just use LCB with the FFI stuff. But sometimes it might be easier just to, well, in this case, it was much easier just to compile that, put it in a jar, and especially because it has exactly the same, it converts the API to be the same as that of the media recorder. So to update the library, I just needed to change some of the class names there to get it to work. As usual, all these examples are will be in the resources next to these slides whenever you get access to them. And then a further thing was WAV comparison. So there's this MusicG library which you can download a jar file, and it's basically, this is all the code you need. So just figured out what the class names are, and this is some kind of sort of pseudo code of what the methods are, and you can see each one of them here I've just translated into foreign bindings. And then this is the whole all the code you need to actually compare the files. Now, I was kind of annoyed that this wasn't working. It seemed to be working. It was just giving me different similarity scores each time, and then I realized that it's actually meant to be for music, I think. So the kind of recordings I was making, the algorithm just didn't work at all. And it seems to be non-deterministic, which is quite bizarre. I don't quite understand what's going on there. So I've definitely used the wrong tool for the job in terms of what Peter Reed was asking for here. But I think it's still quite useful just to demonstrate how you go about using these libraries. Now, sorry about that. Let's go back to this. Can everybody see me again?
I can see you.
Okay.
So,
good. Well, I just wanted to finish off with a quick demonstration of the Android chart because it's quite cool. So now, how can I hold this so it's visible? Oh, need to switch the light.
I can see a white screen there. Is it supposed to be on it?
There is something on it. Yeah, it's just the light in this room. Okay.
Yes, I can see a graph.
It's just that when I turn it, there you go. Okay, so yeah, this is a graph with 5 random data points. See if I can move it closer.
Yep.
And so it's just got some nice like built-in features. So you can click on each point and it will there you go, sort of show you like where the point is, and you can use sort of touch like expansion things to, and then it scrolls and things like that. So that's one of the really cool things about if you're wrapping these third-party widgets, essentially, that you get all these features pretty much for free. Right. Well, that's basically all all I had to talk about.
Well,
any questions for next time? Please message or send an email to support.
Yeah, do let us know if there's something you'd like to see Ali cover in November, in the last of this series of LiveCode Global. And in the meantime, we will try and debug his laptop to figure out why it's doing this weird stuff with the slides.
Brand new laptop, I don't think it's mine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, all right, so next up we're going to have Cyril. He's going to tell us about some more of his work in teaching with LiveCode. I saw some very interesting things being prepared there by Cyril, so I think stick around and let's see what he has to say. So I'm going to end this session, and if you all come back on in just a couple of minutes, I'll be here with Cyril. Thank you very much, Ali.
Bye.
Bye.